It's really hard for people like myself who are targets of the horrific Bush-Obama organized gang stalking program to explain what it's like, because it's like nothing we have ever experienced before. But to get insights into it, we can look at what writers like Konrad Lorenz and Sigmund Freud have wrote. For instance, let's take a look at what Konrad Lorenz said, and you can read this in the article on mobbing, which is in Wikipedia. It says in that article, Konrad Lorenz, in his book entitled On Aggression, first described mobbing among birds and animals, attributing it to instincts rooted in the Darwinian struggle to survive. In his view, humans are subject to similar innate impulses, but capable of bringing them under rational control. In other words, mobbing or gang stalking really has to do with innate impulses that people normally keep under control. But now let's look to Sigmund Freud in his book Group Psychology and the Analysis of the Ego, who tells us that when people become members of a group, these innate impulses just rip. All right, let's see what he says. He said, Sigmund Freud said this: being a member of a group produces a unique mental phenomena, the group mind. The people who make up a group have a collective mind that is different from the mind they have as individuals who think, feel, and act as individual persons. There are certain ideas and feelings which do not come into being or do not transform themselves into acts, except in the case of individuals forming a group. A group acts differently than individuals. The unconscious motives of the group, like the unconscious motives of an individual, outnumber the conscious. The hereditary foundation of behavior exerts a profound influence. The characteristics that are the inheritance of the human race constitute the motives of group behavior of which we are not aware. Individuals each possess unique predispositions due to unique genetic endowments. That uniqueness is lost in the group, where our common predispositions are most apparent. Hence, groups manifest a common character. The group gives the individual a feeling of power, which permits him to express instincts he might have been able to restrain had he not become a member of a group, said Freud. He will be less disposed to check himself from the consideration that a group being anonymous and in consequence irresponsible, the sentiment of responsibility which always controls individuals, disappears entirely. The new character that a group shows that the individual doesn't is the absence of repression of unconscious instinctual impulses. So individuals display characteristics as part of a group that they don't display as individuals. The group acts without conscience, without responsibility. In a group, every sentiment and act is contagious. In groups, people do things that is uncharacteristic of them, that is not part of their personal repertoire of habits. In a group, the conscious personality vanishes, said Freud. Individuals lose consciousness of their acts. There is a tendency to immediately transform suggested ideas into acts. Isolated, he may be a cultivated individual. In a crowd, he is a barbarian that is a creature acting by instinct. By the mere fact that he forms part of an organized group, said Sigmund Freud, a man descends several rungs in the ladder of civilization. He possesses the spontaneity, the violence, the ferocity, and also the enthusiasm and heroism of primitive beings. A group is almost completely unconscious in its behavior. The feelings of a group are always very simple and very exaggerated. It goes directly to extremes. If a suspicion is expressed, it is instantly changed into an incontrovertible certainty. A trace of antipathy is turned into furious hatred. The only thing a group respects is force, said Freud. Groups have never thirsted after truth. They demand illusions and cannot do without them. Behavior of groups is based on fantasy, not truth, said Freud. Groups are dominated by feeling, not thought. A group impresses the individual as being an unlimited power and an insurmountable peril. The loss of the leader, in some sense or other, the birth of misgivings about him, brings on the outbreak of panic. Though the danger remains the same, the mutual ties between members of group disappear as a rule, at the same time as the leader disappears. You have to understand what I see as a gang stalking target from this group of gang stalkers is something that a person who is not a gang stalking target has never experienced in their life. The hatred, the ferocity, the primitive instincts. You haven't seen this, my friend, but Barack Obama and George Bush have unleashed this on regular, ordinary citizens who have done nothing. He has unleashed this hatred on innocent people.